One of the things that you mentioned in the book that really raised my eyebrows was that Washington was offered the crown
Yes.
of America.
Sure was.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, a group of Army officers who had a pretty fair idea of the way things were going to go, and he refused it.
Okay.
Louis Nicolai, I believe, was the name of the...
Yeah, I did some very basic research on it, and he was a colonel.
Right.
So there was obviously anti-monarchist arguments saying that, well, since it was a colonel underneath Washington, that he was just floating the idea that it wasn't an actual offer from the Crown of Britain, or
from the Congress.
From the
Well,
Congress.
people have gone back and forth, and also there was a heavy anti-Washington element. Don't forget that.
Oh.
Washington was very popular amongst those with whom he was popular, and very
Yeah.
unpopular with those with whom he was not.
Yeah.
So during the war, you had things like the Conway Cabal and all that tried to get rid of him as commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
He was a very astute politician.
If I remember correctly, you state that Washington rejected it on the basis that he did not have a good claim.
That was if you remember, that is the way it was put across in this future. Right. Now, how true that is another story. One of the, if you do bother reading the book, you'll find that there are certain areas just like this. Because remember, I'm writing from his standpoint, my great-nephew's standpoint. We ourselves tend to interpret history in the same way. That's the interpretation he's put on it, and there may be some truth to it.
Uh-huh.
But I doubt it was quite the way, just as I don't think our interpretation is quite correct. Neither do I think his is either.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Well, one of the points he makes, for instance, just so you'll know, ladies and gentlemen, the new king of America is the inheritor of the Stuart claims to Great Britain as well, although he renounces those to concentrate on America. And so one of the points I make is that as time has gone on, politicians in this future day have stopped talking about how our ancestors fighting the British at Lexington and Concord, and talk about our ancestors fighting with his at Culloden. Well, you know, neither one of those phrases is really true, literally, for most of us. And the point I make in the book, and that he makes, is that that kind of statement tells a lot more about the present than it does about the past. So that, elaborating a little bit, if I'm a politician, I get up about our fathers fighting at Lexington and Concord. That is the mythos that I'm keying into. That's the national myth that and it's true. It's not a lie.
Yeah.
But it's also not true, not strictly. So similarly, as time has gone on, the national mythos adapts in this future, and the Jacobite thing becomes the national myth. So when they talk about our fathers fighting beside his at Culloden, well, no, they really didn't.
Yeah.
Actually, in real life, mine did. But none of mine fought at Lexington and Concord, though. But it really would not be true. And yet, at the same time, it's a riff on how these things actually happen. Think back, if you will, to the last century, the 20th century, when you had these Americanization boards in all the major cities. And you had these kids who were Italian and Slovak and German and Jewish and Irish, all these different nationalities, doing reenactments of the Revolutionary War to be Americanized. Well, again, it was true and it wasn't true. It was real and it wasn't real, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And we tend to accept these things, and so does our future author.
I see.